Have you been visited by the pig of wealth and abundance? This is about to be a activation in your Akashic records that is going to support your relationship with money, but also your self-concept. And so this is going to be very powerful. So if you need to save this and watch later when we are in a good space, I just want to give that heads up. This is a activation that I did in a client's Akashic record reading, and she gave me permission to share because we both felt that it would also support you on your journey. When I went into her energy field, I saw a pig. And pigs in different cultures and shamanism often represent wealth and abundance. And what's really funny is her last name is Bacon. So it's very synchronistic. And the pig looked like Mabel from Gravity Falls, if you have seen that cartoon or if you want to go on and look it up. And I'm going to be reading from my notes here. I said, how do you feel about the pig being here? Because obviously that's a very positive sign. And she said, I feel like I need to go pay reverence to the pig. And reverence means to show deep respect. And I said, okay, well, how would you do that? And she went over and was petting the pig on its head, like giving it head pats. And she looked at me and said, why does that feel so empty? It just did not feel satisfactory to be having this interaction. And I said, well, why do you think the pig is here in the first place? To bring me good news. I said, well, why do you think that you are receiving the good news? This is when she got a little bit nervous about the answer or a little unsure. And I said, that's okay. Sometimes when we're searching for an answer within, that actually ends up creating more resistance, where if we took a moment to pause for self-reflection and allow it to bubble up to the surface, the answers will be revealed. So we sat there for a minute and she said, because I'm doing a good job. That is why the pig is here, to share more abundance and wealth. And I said, well, what does doing a good job mean to you? She said, staying on track. What does that mean, staying on track? And she said, doing what I am supposed to do. I said, what if you didn't do what you were supposed to do? You rebelled against that. Then what would happen? She said, well, that's why I was stuck in the first place. And that might be how you have been feeling as well, of maybe I was not making the correct choices or my energetics were not aligned, and that's why I felt stuck for so long, or I'm feeling stuck right now. And that's when I just stared at her like this, at her astral body, waiting for her to dig a little bit deeper. And she said, I see. I said, what do you see? She said, it's not because of the things I was or wasn't doing. I was stuck because I was weighing judgments against myself. I created the scale system. If you've ever seen a scale at a grocery store, or that is represented by lawyers, or in Greek mythology and things, it like this on both sides, it was a scale system of self that had been integrated into her field, and maybe yours as well. So, well, why do you think that you created that? And she said, because I never wanted to be the people who have hurt me. I micromanaged myself into the person I am today. I said, do you think that you required micromanaging? Do you think that you have forged yourself into who you are today? Or do you think that you simply found yourself through creating an obstacle course for your soul? A self-imposed obstacle course to prove to yourself you are worthy of being the person who you are today. She looked at me and said, why would I do that? And then creating that whole challenge within. I said, because that is what we are taught to do. We are taught to scrutinize ourselves to the point of exhaustion. Because what does that do? Scrutinizing yourself to the point of exhaustion. It exhausts all of your energy. What do you think would happen if we all lived in a world with people who wholeheartedly love themselves? She said the world would be a lot different. I said, precisely. And what I meant by this was, there are a lot of oppressive systems, whether that is cultural, religious, societal, capitalism, the government, all these different things that want us to continuously nitpick at ourselves. that can also be seen in spirituality. Just a heads up of just excavating and digging through all of these things and on this perpetual healing hamster wheel, because that takes us out of our power and out of our creativity. But if we were living in a world where everybody just loved themselves so much, how empowering would that be for everyone? And then we're all receiving these really wild, boundary pushing, innovative ideas and making the world a completely different place. And that doesn't always serve the powers that be. And I'm not saying necessarily that we need to hyper focus on all of that negativity, because yes, is that happening? For sure. But the way to make effective changes is to change your internal state and your own personal world and realm, and then that inspires other people to do the same. And now we're all on that same path and empowering one another on an individual scale and then a collective scale. We need to point our energy and attention at the things that we want to happen, and that begins with self. So I said, what kind of world do you want to live in? Okay, I'm asking you that right now too. And she said, a world full of love. And that begins with my own internal world. I said, great. So I will ask you yet again, why do you think the pig of abundance and wealth came to visit you today? And she said, I brought the pig into my reality. Me. I need to give myself reverence. Okay, paying myself deep respects. I am reverence. And I said, what does that mean? She said, to honor and celebrate myself. I said, how do you think that would change your reality? And she said, all of my abundant blessings are because I am amazing. That is true reverence. One of the things that I told her about why maybe the finances are not where we want them to be is because oftentimes we are tying that up in all of these kind of external circumstances, and that's part of the disempowerment scheme that we have kind of all fallen trapped to at one time or another, when in all reality it's your energetics that are creating that. What I told her is, even her and I in the session with one another, I am just a reflection of her. I am the pig in that circumstance. She pulled me in. All of the insights and wisdom that I was sharing with her are a product of her own mind. They are a projection of her own imagination getting reflected back to her. I said, when you can kind of see everything that's happening in your world of how can this help me grow, and I pulled this in, that's when you can really make some massive quantum leaps, because you're in a higher state of self-empowerment now of, oh, all of these blessings that are happening in my life, however many they are right now, okay, are because of me, because I'm amazing, because I'm beautiful and magnificent and a being of light, and I'm so caring and kind and compassionate. Because what was happening previously was weighing shame and guilt and productivity against self, and that just depletes your energy. If you want more life force energy, which money and finances or opportunities and experiences are a byproduct of you pouring life force energy into yourself. Those are forms of life force energy. So the more love that you put in and celebrate on yourself and pay reverence to yourself and saying, I am the one that is doing this. It is coming from me. All of these wonderful things. It's not external circumstances, it's internal. It's because of me, because I'm amazing. You will see that reflected out in the external blessings that are coming into your field. So I just said, keep on pouring more love into yourself. Honor, celebrate, reverence, life force energy. I would love to hear in the comments if this shifted your perspectives, as it gave you some motivation and fuel for your day today, and a roadmap about how to create forward movements. Remember to check out my meditations and activations. Give a follow to join the community, and I'm wishing you the absolutely most magical day.